Doctor Who The War Machines, the 27th story of the first Doctor, is written by Ian Stewart Black from a story by Kit Pedler and starring William Hartnell, Jackie Lynn, Anika Wills and Michael Craze. The title was going to be The Computers and the story coming from Kit Pedler, so the producers wondered what would happen if the recently built post office somehow took over, and Kit Pedler said that it would be the work of Rogue Computer that communicated with the outside world by means of the telephone system, and the producers loved the idea, so they let Kit Pedler develop the idea of the story, and Pat Dunlop was originally going to write the story, but Pat was busy with other work, so it went to Ian Stewart Black. So they decided to set the story on present day because the producers felt that the audience are getting bored with historical episodes, as it's been a majority story of the show to date at the time. So it begins with the Doctor and Dodo landed in London 1966, and I loved it when the Doctor put out of order sign on his TARDIS so the policeman wouldn't use it, which is handy, because the TARDIS will definitely be mistaken as a real police box if you landed in 1960s. And I also love the design of the title card when it tells us the name of the episode and which part story it is. So the Doctor and Dodo sees Post Office Tower, so they went in and met Professor Brett, who invented a computer called Wotan, which stands for Will Operating Thought Analog, and it can think for itself, which is cool.
Here's one you'll never get. What does the word TARDIS mean? Got it right. Time and relative dimensions in space.
Good heavens, let me see.
The Doctor had the same feeling looking at the tower as he did with the Daleks. We also meet a future companion, Polly. So after the Doctor and Dodo ask Wotan a question, Polly takes Dodo to a nightclub, and Kitty mentions that a sailor sits around and does nothing. And speaking of which, he comes in and does exactly what Kitty said to Polly and Dodo. This is a great meeting with Polly and the sailor, Ben Jackson. So the Doctor goes to a meeting with Sir Charles Summer, while Professor Brett is getting hypnotised by Wotan, which is scary.
That's ridiculous.
So he goes to the meeting and takes Professor Crimpton to his office so he gets hypnotised, after Major Green gets hypnotised as well. So they phone Dodo and she gets hypnotised as well, so she went off. The Doctor arrived in the nightclub meeting up with Polly, Kitty and Ben, and realising that Dodo is missing. So Dodo goes into the office asking about her instructions, and I love the sound effects that Wotan makes.
What are my instructions?
It's a fantastic sound effect. It said Doctor Who is required and ordered Dodo to bring him there. Which leads to part 2. So everyone is waiting in the club for Dodo, then she returns and claims that she went to see her friends. So everyone left the club as Kitty is closing it up. The tramp got out the cab and asked for a change, so Polly helps the payment for taxi. So the Doctor, Dodo and Polly went off to see Charles. So the tramp went in the warehouse and it's full of people brainwashed by Wotan preparing the war machine and killed the tramp, as he's not allowed to escape. I definitely don't want to be in there. So the next morning the Doctor sees a newspaper about the same tramp that got killed. So Dodo wanted the Doctor to go to Professor Brett, so he decided to give him a phone call, but he was about to get hypnotised, but at least he managed to throw the receiver away before he gets hypnotised. So he figures out that it's either the phones are dangerous, or it's coming from Professor Brett's office. So the Doctor realises Dodo has been hypnotised, so he got her to sit on the chair and sends her to sleep for 48 hours. The reason why I like this scene is William Hartnell's portrayal as the Doctor, because I don't think he would have been like this if he's still like the same person as an unearthly child. He turned from not caring about anyone into helping others, and every hero has got to start somewhere. Charles agreed that his wife will look after Dodo, and sadly that's the last time we see her. It's been said that Innes Lloyd, who was the series producer at the time, had plans for the series to not involve Dodo Chaplet or Stephen Taylor, which as a result, Dodo being written out of the series, with the anticlimactic ending for the character. Jerry Davis, the writer, said that the character was dropped in favour of Polly. Dodo's appearance in The Man in the Velvet Mask was chosen because David O'Mahony, the author, wanted to have a single companion alongside the Doctor and felt Dodo's obscurity gave him more room to explore her character. The novel provided a large amount of characterization for Dodo. Many writers of the Doctor Who novel went for the obscure characters like Dodo for stories at the time for similar reasons, as it allowed authors to push limits with the characters not possible with more popular characters. During Jackie Lane's time on Doctor Who as Dodo Chaplet, Lane found herself in many roles but was annoyed at frequently typecasted in similar roles as Dodo. She quit acting and took many different jobs, including a voiceover agency. Innes Lloyd would later requested help finding work from Lane's agency, but of course Lane said no because due to being removed from the role, and she was reluctant to attend interviews or conventions. She recruited one interview in 1992 when she learned how much of an impact her role as Dodo had made. She barely returned to the franchise, though she filmed at a greeting in celebration of Doctor Who's 50th anniversary. So Polly left and returned to Professor Brett's office and gets hypnotized. While the War Machine is preparing, not that one, this one, Ben arrives looking for Polly, who was supposed to be meeting him for lunch date. So he goes into the warehouse and sees hypnotized people working on the war machines, and the machine has caught Ben and moved towards him, which is pretty intense. Like I said, William Hartnell is fantastic as the original Doctor. It's a shame that it's not long before he leaves. Jackie Lane as Dodo Chaplet is likeable and liked her chemistry with the Doctor. Anika Wills played Polly. According to Fandom Wiki, her last name is Wright. Don't think she's related to Barbara, who's a secretary at Professor Brett's office. Michael Craze is Ben Jackson, who's a sailor, and they're all the first companions to see the Doctor regenerating. I love those two companions, they're so likeable. On March 1966, the BBC started researching cadet recruitment in the Royal Navy as background for a companion. On the 15th of that month, the original outline for the War Machines, which at the time the story wasn't named, was drafted by Pat Dunlop and included a sailor named Richard to become a companion to replace Peter Purvis as Stephen Taylor. During the rewrites, this character was renamed as Ben, with Dodo being written out halfway through the script, and her part was given to a new character, Polly. It seems those changes were made by the 21st. The two characters were conceived to be more down-to-earth than past companions, and would provide contrast to one another. On spring 1966, internal document described Ben as a realist, down-to-earth, solid, capable, and cautious, inclined on occasions to be shy,
and so on and so forth.
It's likely that on 4th of May 1966, Anika Wills and Michael Craze were casted as Polly and Ben. Michael Craze sent some of his own biographical ideas to Innes Lloyd on that day. The casting was made public in a press release on 20th of June. According to production notes, Wright was going to be Polly's surname, but that wasn't used in order to avoid people confusing with a previous companion, Barbara Wright. John Harvey, Alan Curtis and William Mervyn as Professor Brett, Major Green and Sir Charles Summer did a fantastic job, as so does the rest of the cast and crew. I love the design and sound effects of the War Machine. It's so hard to buy that it's a low budget series because it's that good. The machine is built by hypnotized people to create war in London in order to take over. So Major Green warns hypnotized people that there's an intruder as Ben tries to get out. Polly came, who's slowing him down, and Ben blew his chances of getting out by trying to get Polly out. So he gets taken to Major Green and Polly suggested that he should work with them, so they agreed. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Charles are worried about the youngsters. As Polly tells Ben what's going to happen after the War Machine is prepared, Ben makes an escape and returns to Charles's office and warns them about people and war machines. Sadly, Charles doesn't believe Ben, but thankfully the Doctor does. So however, Charles calls the minister to arrange for the army before the war begins in the afternoon. Polly gets punished for letting Ben escape, so she goes back to Professor Brett's office. We get a great action between the soldiers and the war machine, and the Doctor stood in front of it, but then it stopped, so the news reported that London is unsafe and tells people to stay indoors. As the Doctor takes a look at a war machine, Ben sees a TARDIS key dropped on the floor from the Doctor's cloak and picked it up, which is how he and Polly got inside the TARDIS at the end. So the Doctor meets the Minister, and Major Green is back to himself and doesn't even remember the Doctor, like a hangover. While there's another war machine on the loose, they use a magnetic field to capture a war machine and switched it off. So while Ben quickly gets to the office to get Polly, the war machine goes to the office and destroys Wotan. Sadly, Professor Crimpton is killed, but Professor Brett is back to himself, and everyone arrived, and we find out that the war machines are waiting for orders that'll never come. So in the end, the Doctor is back to his TARDIS. Ben and Polly told the Doctor that Dodo wants to stay in London, which is a pity. So the Doctor goes back in the TARDIS, and Ben and Polly let themselves in, and the TARDIS disappeared with two people looking at it and just walked off. Man, I really love this serial. It's my top 3 favourite Hartnell stories, and it's the first black and white serial I've watched in my life, as my mum got me the DVD for Christmas when I was a kid, which is nice. What do you guys think of The War Machines and Season 3? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.